Hey everyone, Double Edge Games here. We'll do another deck profile for hires. This is another budget deck that I enjoy. It's really spammy. It's not expensive, so I like to play it. You can very easily get expensive in the extra deck, so you just kind of have to be careful with that. But let's go ahead and start off with the deck profile. So to start off, I play 3 Raphael Champion Furhire. So what he does is when he's summoned at the end, all the big boss monsters, the boss monsters, are once per turn, and when they special summon off of the small ones. So the small ones will special summon the other small ones which have effects, and the small ones can special summon the big ones, with the big ones are pretty much the end thing that you're going to summon at that turn, and it has an effect. So what he does is he activates the top of your deck into the number of Furhires you have on board, and then you get to add one of them to your hand. So he's essentially going to add something to your hand, which is more hand advantage. Now, when your opponent activates a monster effect, you can discard 1 card for hire in your hand, obviously. Negate the activation. You can only use each effect of Champion for hire once per turn. So I run 3 of him. I run 1 Wiz, which is essentially the same thing as Ralph, but Ralph does monster effects, Sage does spell and trap effects. So you can only use this card once per turn as well, but it can negate the activation of a spell or trap card or effect. So it doesn't even have to be a spell or trap card. If it's an activation of a spell or trap effect, I can negate it. And then you also gain 500 life points for each monster for hire you control with different names, except for Wiz when she's summoned. The only other boss monster I run is Dinah. So what this card does is when it's special summoned, you can banish cards from your opponent's graveyard up to the number of monster for hires you control with different names, which can be good against certain decks. You can only use this effect once per turn. Monsters your opponent controls can target monsters for hire except for this one for attack. So because he's so strong, it actually can be helpful that you summon a bunch of small ones and summon him, and you're like, okay, so if you're going to attack, you have to hit him first. So there's the big ones, the boss monsters. From there, we'll play a lot of the little ones. Pretty much the big staple, the playmaker of the deck, beats Bladesman for hire. So all of the little ones that are for hires do this specific effect, where during your main phase, you can special summon 1 monster for hire from your hand, except its name. If a monster for hire is special summoned to your field while you control this monster, it can also do this. So basically, you summon 1, it can special summon another one from your hand. So he special summons 1, and then so on and so forth. So they kind of just start spamming themselves. But when another one is summoned while he's on the field, he gets to add another for hire card from your deck to your hand. He searches the entire deck for the most part. I mean, most of the cards you play are for hire. So I run 3 of him. Kind of move him up here. From there, another 3 of that I play. A lot of people don't play 3 of him. Is Bravo. The reason why I like running Bravo is because we're kind of in Master Rule 5 now, and I like going into Abyss Dweller and a couple other things in the side deck. And he's nice to have a reptile, and every once in a while, his effect is useful. What he does is, when, other than the summoning effect, gains 500 attack and defense when someone else is summoned for all your for hire cards. So he can essentially make him 3,000. So if you need to run him something over, Raphael gets an extra, so he's over 3,000. He's 3,300. So things like that can be helpful. And then I run 3 seals. I run seal, and what he does is he adds 1 from your graveyard to your hand when there's another one summoned. Another reason why I'll run him at 3 is because he's a level 4. From there, I run 2 Helmer. Slide those up. 2 Helmer. Basically, you trade 1, you draw 1. So you get to draw a card and then discard a card, or discard a for hire card, then draw a card whenever you get another one to summon. Then I run 2 Dampa and 1 Recon. So what Dampa does is he destroys face-up cards. One face-up card on the field, destroy it. You can only use this effect once. This one, face-down cards. So I know a lot of the meta right now are a lot of like Elderledge and stuff at the moment, but this I still feel like playing it one's good because most of the time I'm playing second and I'm never going to get him off anyways. So I usually, if I'm going to play second and I end up having to him, I'm just kind of in hopes at that point. But he seems to be real good for certain rogue matchups for field spells and things like that. Whenever they have stuff that kind of like floodgates and so on and so forth. Now, other one that I play a 3 of is Philo. So Philo Furhire can special summon 1 Furhire from your graveyard in defense position and then place it at the bottom of the deck when it leaves the field. So you can target one and get into your extra deck boss monster, which we'll talk more about. Fairly easy with him. So you get him on board, you bring back another one from the graveyard, and he kind of recycles cards, which is nice. So there's all our Furhire. So that's a lot of Furhires. And I have more reasons why I play so many of each Furhire as well. But the only monster I run a 2 of that's not a Furhire is Ash Blossom and Joyous Springs. I feel like Ash Blossom's a really good rogue matchup, and where I'm at, well, 4 rogue matchups, and where I'm at, rogue matchups are locals like bread and butter. This is what everybody wants to bring their rogue crazy decks. So this is really good for a variety of different decks that you go against instead of just the same things over and over again. So I put him in there. So off to the spells. I run 1 Reasoning because they're all different levels. And most of the time, they're never going to hit it right. Most of the time, they're going to call 3. Hope you don't get beats. 1 Instant Fusion, which I'll explain in the extra deck why I run Instant Fusion. Instant Fusion is just an extender, more or less. 1 for 1. Same reason. I'm going to extend with it. I'm looking for different things that I can get Philo with that kind of help extend boards. Because if Philo's out, I can extend from there. Okay. 1 Rhoda. And Rhoda is literally for beats. You run Rhoda for beats. Get Rhoda, you find beats, you get beats, then you can find anything else you need. From there, I also play 1 Mind Control, which stealing your opponent's monster and making an extra deck monster with it is basically what that's used for. Okay, got some more spells coming up. I got 1 Monster Reborn, because it's Monster Reborn, and 3 Furhire Monster Reborns, basically. This one, target 1 Furhire monster and set it in defense position. You can only activate 1 of these per turn, but it's also a quick effect. So I can flip this on my opponent's turn and get effects to go off if I need to. Life points, excavations, popping cards, so on and so forth, which is nice. Monster Reborn stuff. And then I run 2 Pot of Desires, which is why I run so many Furhires and so many copies of everything, because I don't mind banishing them now. But this allows me to get more cards in hand, because if I do go first, I need cards in my hand to make plays. And if I start playing, I make this nice board, and they out that board, and I have 1 card in my hand, I'm pretty much done. So this helps me for catching back up if I don't have Monster Reborn in my hand. The only other thing I run for spells is 3 Called by the Grave, because this is a kind of a monster effect deck. I mean, all the effects of the monsters basically play off each other, so if they stop it and you sit there and it's like, well, that sucks. Can't do anything. So that kind of helps me keep playing. And then I play 1 Trap card, 1 Floodgate. There can only be 1 broken in this deck, because everything's something different, which is awesome. Dampa and Recon are not, but other than that, I do believe everything is. Oh, and Dinah. Dinah's also a Beast Warrior, and I think I have Seal is also a Beast Warrior. But for the most part, otherwise, they're all different. So I can get them to spin off each other. I can make this impressive board, set this face down, and say, okay, pass your turn, and then watch you sit there and be like, oh, well, I guess I can't play. Let's go game 2. So now for the extra deck. A lot of people don't run an extra deck quite like I do. I run something kind of different. So we're going to go off with links first, and I'm going to go from 1 and up. So I do run 1 Relinquish Anime. I have instant fusion targets that allow me to go into this. I can get rid of, was it Fargo? I think is how you pronounce that one. The level 1, yeah. Philo, sorry. Philo, the level 1 into him, which can steal an opponent's monster, and then you can go off. He's also a spellcaster, and the only other spellcaster in the main deck is Wiz. From there, I run 1 Nightmare Phoenix because of its pop effect. And then I do run I call him Pen. Pentestag, I think is how you actually pronounce it. It's a Cyberus monster, which is also a good thing, but it helps a monster become piercing damage. So if I'm fighting someone who's going to play I'm playing face down level 1 low monsters, or I'm playing tokens and I'm going to start generating, I stop them with someone's effect, and then I can go into him and then run it over. I'm going to do that. From there, I run 2 Falgo, Justice for Hire. Essentially, what he does anytime something gets destroyed. Well, let's start off at the beginning. So, 3 monsters of different types cannot be used for a link material, so you can't be used as link climbing, basically. If this card is link summoned, you can special summon 1 monster for hire with a different type than the 3 monsters used to make this card from your deck in defense position. If card your opponent controls is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can draw 1 card. If you have control 3 or more monsters for hire with different names, draw 2 additional cards. So you can draw 3 cards. And you can only use that once per turn, which is awesome. You use that effect a lot. I only run 2 because I wanted to have a little bit of more of a variety in my extra deck. Tropologic Transpania. I blow up the back row with it. I mean, you can't not use something that destroys back row in today's meta. I mean, you just can't. Elder Lich is out there, and if you don't get rid of it, then they're going to get rid of you. And then I run 1 Boar Load, the 1 Boar Sword. You can make them. They're really good. I don't make them very often, but I do make them. Most of the time I go into Fargo, and then I sit there, and then I kind of go into my XYZs, and I kind of control it at that point. But they're nice to have the OTK options too as well. So there's my links. For instant fusion targets, 1,000 Eyes Restrict and Millennial Eyes Restrict. Now, he's basically, if I don't have Called by the Grave in my hand, I'm going to him every time. I don't care. I'm not taking a chance. I need my deck to go off. I need my first turn to go off. I can't have it interrupted. If I have it interrupted, this deck will not recover very well. So I use it for that reason. Really fun deck. I love the artwork of this deck. I love the concept of this deck. So he kind of fits into, they're both spellcasters. He steals opponent's monster, obviously, which is nice. So there's my 2 instant fusion targets. For my rank 4, I run Abyss Dweller in Utopia. And then I run Utopia Lightning. I like making Lightning and making him super strong and running into someone, inflicting piercing damage with my level 2 Cyberus Link. It's fun. And because I do run 3 of the Dragon, I do run Raphael. Yeah, Raphael. 3 of the Raphaels. I do run Hope Harbinger. I have had other cards in the deck, in the extra deck. I'm still kind of working this deck out, but I have played it quite a bit, and I do enjoy the way it's built. Like I said, it's not super competitive, but it's a lot of fun. It's kind of explosive, which is surprising. Like, most people don't expect this deck to be explosive, but it is. Especially for a deck that's so cheap in today's world, because most of the decks out anymore are expensive. But Furhires are definitely budget, definitely good, definitely fun, real spammy. So that's my Furhire deck. Like the video if you like it. Comment on any other videos you want to see. I do have other deck profiles on here if you want to kind of look back to the rest of my deck profiles. I do have a couple guest people who are going to be on a constant basis as well to making deck profiles. I will have a TCG link at the bottom eventually. Not all my videos will Some of them will, some of them won't. Please subscribe if you like this kind of stuff. Let me know what you think of the camera angle. I've had suggestions about going the other direction, getting closer to the card so you guys can literally read the card. I think this actually is as close as I can get and not be too close for focus reasons. So let me know what you think. You guys have a good one. I'm out.